So this is my video for the mini lesson we are doing in educational psych. I apologize for my voice. I got sick before I could record this video. So I chose the junior year level of high school because that is what I plan on teaching with the industrial revolutionized area. I plan on having the students have a better understanding of a historical figure during the Industrial Revolution with this project. I'm having them make a resume for a person in the Industrial Revolution. I chose the Industrial Revolution because there are many people and many industries that were built in that revolution that are still around today, like Macy's, and names that we all know, like Carnegie Hall. I said that the students will work as if they are the person, and I chose a resume because myself didn't know how to make a resume up until this year. So I figured it'd be a good work for the students to create a resume. In the resume, I'll have them answer at least 5 questions, or I will give them 5 questions to base their answers off of, like what methods did the person use to improve the American life? What success did the individual have in their work? What details of the person's work made him or her an interesting historical figure? What lasting impact did the person's invention or contribution have on American society, and which people would be the best matches or friends to have to your historical figure? My students are allowed to use, because at this point we would have had notes, they would be allowed to use their notes, the textbook, and any online resources they can for their research. They are only supposed to focus mainly on the time of 1860 to 1910 because that's around the industrial era and where everything mainly boomed. They have to be present, but they can make up the activity with myself. So what they are going to do after the resumes are finished is, it's called speed dating is what I want to call it. And I'd have the desks facing each other in each row, and the person on the left would stay and the person on the right would move, and they have to read their resume to the other person as if they were in a job interview and as if they are that person, to get them more of an idea of what a job interview would be. So what they need to make sure they have ideas in that area are the objective, their summary, a professional experience, a major accomplishment, a reference, 3 references that are of actual people that they would have worked with around that time, and a quote from them, a memorable quote. They are allowed to bring in a prop for extra credit. That would be great. I have a resume format right here for them to do, and it would be nice if they had a colored picture. I even have a sample resume right here. See how it goes from 1838 to 1910, and they are allowed to work with other students on this. But yeah, they are giving, so my class, this would take about 30 minutes, 4 presentations on the day of the presentation. And on the presentation, they are given a page to fill out that would have who are their references, what did they do, did it work, are they still around, like Macy's. I am so sorry for my sniffling. And they would be filling that out as they went and talked to each person, and they would make sure that each person they talked to got their answers from them. And it would be nice if they weren't reading from the resume, but they are only given really 2 days with the resume. So on day 1, we'd do notes, and then like the last 5 minutes of the class, we'd have students choose their person. And there'd be a long list, like Andrew Carnegie, those types of people. This one I have evidence of is Clarissa Harlow Barton, who was the first person for the Red Cross. On day 2 would be just a work day, so that I could answer any questions they have for them, all of that type of stuff. And on day 3 they'd present, or I could be flexible with that if they needed more time to work. They'd get another day, but that would be their take-home assignment for the week, would be to work on the resume when they were not at school. But having the students present to each other would give them their presentation grade that you need in a U.S. history class. So high school classes, mainly in Rapid City, are 30 to 45 minutes long. So you're given that much time to work on what you need. Yeah. And they're all not just business moguls. There's some people that did a lot for medicine, people that, you know, those types of things. It's not all just, as long as they had a contribution in the Industrial Revolution or in the industrial era, there will be, you are able to use them. So yes, at the end of the lesson, students will have a better understanding of a historical figure during the Industrial Revolution and understand the climate of the industry as they were building their empire. So I believe that as they're researching, students will come across the idea of how, like, if you chose a business mogul, things will be more intense. If you didn't choose a business mogul, they will see that how hard it was for them to get their point across. This, that, and the other thing. They're allowed to use laptops, and as long as they have Google Docs, so that I could look at their resume if they didn't print it out, in Google Classroom, because that's what I plan on using on my classroom, even though it is a high school level classroom. It makes it easier for students to get homework if they lost it and they need internet access. It will be their task to figure out whom you have met and who would make the best partner based on your understanding of their role in the industrial era. So they're kind of partnering themselves up to work together, even though they didn't necessarily work together in real life. But it just adds that extra little flavor. So what's going to be graded is the objective. The highest grade will be a sentence that clearly shows the importance of the individual. And the lowest will just be a sentence, but it's not an objective. So, I mean, as long as there's something there, you get at least a point. The summary, it's a paragraph detailing the life and accomplishments, whereas the 1 point is a portion written, but most details were missing. The professional experience, you have to have relevant jobs with dates, including their position title, a short description, and if it's applicable, a location of the job. That's just so the students can understand where most of this was taking place, and that other places like the Midwest weren't quite there yet. The lowest would be all relevant. Not all the jobs are listed, but most of the requirements are missing. So even if you don't have everything, as long as there's something, you get a point, because some points are better than no points, and I don't believe in giving a 0. The major accomplishments, you have to have at least 4, and as long as they have 1, then that's fine. The references need to be 2 out of 3 people, but if there's one person and it does not include a job of the reference, then still 1 point. The quote, it has to be a memorable quote. If possible, the dates and location must be listed. But if you have a quote, but you're not sure if it's really what the person said, then that's fine. As long as it's in the correct format, you get all the points, and if the color, you get an extra 4 points. So, yeah. That is my assignment. I figured a resume building for somebody else would help them figure out how to build a resume for themselves, or at least give them the idea of what an actual resume looks like. And then I chose the Industrial Revolution because it's such a tangle of different people, different ideas, and things falling apart, kind of. And the good things, like Macy's, that are still alive. And there are things, and in the Industrial Revolution, there are things you need to learn about that aren't still around today. And there are things that need to that kind of come together, and you realize why some businesses are the way they are. Yeah, so that's my mini lesson, and thanks.